We don't just want to be that team that develops a couple of players and has a nice time, and we want to be a team as well that can win games and win championships.
So, Matt, talk to me a bit about how the preseason has been going for you guys so far from a player's perspective.
So far, I think our group is really a hardworking group. We've been pushing each other and pushing training sessions and everything, and I think the group we have coming in, a lot of kids from college that came in with a good intensity, and I think it's really special for this group that we have that mindset of just working hard every day.
Absolutely. And talking about the chemistry going into this season in particular, how has that been getting to connect with all the new players that are coming in from the academy as well as some of the other players coming in from college?
I think the chemistry we're still building, but obviously every day it gets better. A lot of us have similar play styles, so it kind of helps us. And a coaching style, I think he's really implemented the way we should play, and all the way from the academy up to the first team. I think everyone wants to keep the ball, and that's kind of what we're preaching. So that's really helping us, I think, gel together even more, is because we all want to keep the ball, and that's the biggest goal.
Absolutely. And we just found out today that you just got named captain of the Twos. I mean, talk to me a bit about how you found that out, and what does it mean to you to be captain of this team?
Being captain is a really important role to me, and a special role, something I will not take for granted, and I hope to push this team further. I was captain of the academy here, so it was a really special goal for me, and in college I was part of the leadership group, which kind of helped me build that kind of mentality and leadership aspect of it. I found out probably like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and the coach asked me, and I mean, at first I said I don't know if I can, but then I kind of thought it to myself, and I wanted to take that role on.
The lefty swings it over to the right side to El Capitan, Matthew Edwards.
Why were you so hesitant about not being captain at first?
It's kind of a joke, or kind of a joke I have with the coaches, is the armband's a little too big for me. But now that I think about it, it's kind of a dumb thing that I said. But I'm glad that I can take on that role.
Absolutely. They'll get you another one. We'll fit it. We'll make it look nice. So, yeah. Now, looking into this season, what is the message and what are the goals that you guys want to achieve going into the season?
I mean, obviously the first goal everyone on the team has is to win the playoffs. Obviously the team didn't make the playoffs last year, so that's our goal. We need to make the playoffs, and we need to have a winning record. We need to have a winning season. I think the goal here is to win, and that's what we need to have, is that goal is to win.
When you were making the decision from going from North Carolina to then come back to the club where you started playing, what was that decision making like for you?
I know previously when I was here in the academy, I felt like I wasn't ready to move into the pro world. I needed some developing to do, which Carolina was a great place for me to do that. And I felt like after this year it was time to kind of take that next step and kind of push towards my goals that I've had since a child, is to be a pro. So I think this was the right time, and hopefully keep pushing this year and keep achieving my goals.
What were some of the biggest lessons you learned from North Carolina and you can use now coming in and playing back with the Twos?
I think the biggest thing I learned from UNC in particular is my work ethic. I need to keep that at a high level, because in college you're working every day and it's nonstop. You have 2 games a week and you train every day, so it's not easy. It's definitely different than here, but it's definitely not easy. So I think that was the biggest thing I learned from Carolina for sure.
Now, you got the chance to play for the first team in preseason. How did that experience help you prepare for the season with Atlanta United too?
I think it just shows the level I need to get to, and I'm not close, and I need to continue to strive every day to get to that level. I mean, the first team guys they're all really good players, so I think obviously everyone on the Twos especially, they can all step into a first team environment, but that level we need to hold every day, and then it also keeps us a little bit humble when we're second teams, because it's like, all right, we're striving to get here, and that's where we all want to get to.
Aiden Torres. Centeno. Multiple step overs, takes it to the right, shot off the post on the far side, volleyed home on the rebound. Goal, 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 Atlanta United 2, Javier Armas. 1-1 in the 23rd.
Talk to me a bit about how the preseason is going from your perspective.
I think it's going amazing. I'm very happy to be here, to have the opportunity to also do a long preseason, because I'm used to college where it's just 1 week of preseason and then you play your first game. I think preseason is very important to build the chemistry, to get fit, and I think it's going amazing so far.
What has been the biggest difference from playing in college to now playing on that pro side?
I think now this is our job, so it's not only because it's fun, it's our job, so we need to also sacrifice a lot of things because of soccer. And now I think it's more serious. We know we can live because of soccer, and I think that's the biggest difference. But in terms of the environment, I think it's very similar, because especially now in the second team, it's a lot of young players, so that's easier too. The environment is great, so that helps.
And coming from Oregon State to here in Atlanta, how are you settling into the atmosphere of Atlanta? Have you been stopped? What has been the fan environment for you coming into Atlanta?
Yeah, it's been amazing so far. I didn't know anything about Atlanta, so it's I never been in the south part of the US. When I got drafted, before the draft I wanted to go to a place I never been before, and Atlanta picked me, so that was very nice. And it's been amazing so far. I heard great things about the fans. I can't wait to go to the stadium and see all the thousands of people cheering for the Atlanta team. So that's gonna be very, very amazing. And it reminds me a little bit to Europe, to that warm place, So I think it's very good.
Absolutely. And now going into preseason, and especially with the chemistry of the team, how do you think it has been gelling with you guys, especially with the academy players coming up, some of the other college players, and just stepping up? How has that been forming those relationships and that chemistry?
I think it's been very, very good, because we have a very good mix of players. We have a lot of college players that help a lot. We have players that are even older, like John, the goalkeeper, that he also helps a lot. He creates a very good culture in the team. And then the young players, they make it very easy, because I think they listen and they are willing to work. They're here because, of course, they want to be professional soccer players. So we have a very good environment, and it's been very, very good so far.
Now, you got the chance to play with the first team in preseason. How did that experience help you prepare going into this season for the Twos?
Yeah, I think it was awesome to have that opportunity. It was like a dream came true. It helped me because, of course, the level is very high. The quality, you speed up your thought process. I think it helps you to reach your highest level, and I think that's very nice. Help learn from all players that they have been playing in the league for a lot of years, getting advice from them. So it's been very good.
What advice did you get from those first team players? Anything you can share?
Yeah, of course. I asked them a lot about advice for specifically Dax, for example. I asked him a lot about positioning player. I asked other players about how do you feel about your situation, not playing, how you feel mentally, or for the oldest players, what kept you in the league for that long. And they told me one good advice was, for example, not comparing yourself with anyone. Just think about yourself, work for yourself, and don't try to, as I say, compare to anyone, because everyone has different situations. So I think that was very good.
Now, speaking of Dax, who is the person who has put butter in their coffee? Did you know about this? Do you know who does it?
Okay, it's time to say that's me. Yeah.
Whoa, this is the bombshell.
Yeah,
this is bombshell. Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. So what is it about it? Is it like?
I think sometimes before practice I don't want to drink milk because maybe I don't digest it that good, and I put butter because it's good fats for you, and I think that's tasty too. I would a little bit of butter and honey in my coffee. I think that's amazing. A lot of people criticize it, but you have never tried, so I recommend you go for it and try it one day.
Absolutely. Okay, listen, we'll have to try it. I'll come back and we'll talk, and then after I try it, we'll figure it out. It'll be good. So you came from Depor, and now you came to Oregon State. What was your decision making to go from there to then go play at college at Oregon State?
I think it was the opportunity to be able to have a degree and play soccer at the same time. In Spain, it's very difficult to do both things at the same time. You choose one or the other one, and of course, I couldn't play the first division in Spain, so I just decided to come here to be able to pursue both things: my academics career and also my soccer career, and I did both. So I think it was the best decision of my life.
So now that you're here, what are your aspirations to become pro?
Of course, is to just to play at the highest level as possible. I dream big. The dream is, of course, to play with the national team, and step by step, now the next step is to make the first team here, to be a first team to play in the MLS, and then move from there. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm just making us a pro. It was the dream, so that's great.
What were some of the players that you modeled your game after?
Yeah, I mean, of course, the 2010 Spanish national team, that midfielder, it was great. Seeing Xavi Hernandez, Xabi Alonso, Sergio Busquets, Andres Iniesta, I think those guys, they were my role models. Yeah.
So, Coach, looking back at last season, there was a lot of ups and downs. What was the biggest thing that you took away from that season going into this season?
Yeah, I think a lot of MLS Next Pro teams can have those experiences, and certainly for us, we experienced those great highs. You look at a win away against Huntsville, you look at some big victories at home, and then some moments when you think, just as we're going to hit that high, you fall back down to earth. And I think oftentimes with young players that can happen with inconsistencies of lineup, the first team players available, how are the first time professionals adapting to a full season, even how do college players come off the back of that 3-month season that they're used to playing in, and then they hit the summer months and it becomes to be a bit of a grind and more than they've ever done before. And I think probably this year we're hoping to avoid a little bit of that. One, because we've all got a bit more experience, and some of our youngsters, even players who were 17, 18, 19 last year, they're now in another year of work, so they're a little bit more mature, they're a little bit more experienced. But also I think we have a different group of people this year. I think we have a very consistent group of human beings. They show up to work early, and they do their pre-work, they train hard every single day. This group of people, not just players, have been incredibly hard-working, really great people, character people to work with, and I think that's going to be the ingredient that we add to the group this year.
And you mentioned, too, the amount of mix you have in this group. You have the academy players, you have players who've come from college, and then you also have players who've been on the twos and also have played with the first team. How has that been, mixing all of those players together and forming that bond and that relationship? Yeah,
this is the normal thing to us now, where we get, debuts for 15, 16-year-olds, and then we might sometimes get a 30-something who's towards the back end of the career, like Ozzy Alonso last year, who comes in and maybe he's on a rehab from injury and that kind of thing. So we get that whole mix of not only soccer experiences but human experiences, and we get that mix of age groups and different backgrounds, different cultures, different places that they've played before, which means we've got to mould and blend that in to something that we can develop. And I think all players are on their own individual journey. Every team is on their individual journey, and I think this group looks at the moment, as long as we stay healthy and stay fit and all the luck that you need in the world, I think they just look like a really well put together group. Credit to the scouting staff for making sure that happened, and then again it's that consistency of work every single day. So I think all groups come together, and it's almost like that early period when sometimes you don't know how it's going to go, but this group already, I can feel a strong bond between the players. I can feel a strong bond between the staff and the players. I think we're in for a fun season, and hopefully we can avoid some of those pitfalls that you mentioned this season.
Absolutely. And a lot of these players on the second team got the chance to play with the first team in preseason. Javier Armas, Matt Edwards, they all got the chance to really grow and learn from those first team players. How do you expect that experience is going to help them in this season with MLS Next Pro?
Yeah, any experience that a player gets, regardless of age, regardless of their level of quality and experience, any chance they get to play with high level players and players that they maybe are going to stretch their level a little bit is important, whether that be going away with the national team, whether that be an academy player coming in with the twos or the twos players going in with the first team. I think it sharpens the focus. It also gives you that the difficulty that you need, but also I think it gives you the vision of, okay, I'm heading in the right direction. As long as I keep working and I keep listening and I keep doing the things that I'm good at, that my strengths allow me to do well, I think it's that reminder to them that they're making progress. Because as you alluded to, the journey is not going to be this smooth, straight line, nice climb, gentle every day. It's going to be fraught with difficulty, and there's going to be days when you doubt yourself. There's going to be days where you're scared to death, and there's going to be days where you get to bask in the sun a little bit. And I think that is the journey of any player, and certainly as a young player, you know, they're probably at 16, 17 always been the best players in their teams, and then ours is the one where they suddenly are in with men and playing against some older, better players. And I think how they cope with that, how they adapt to that, and how quickly they can then re-establish their level, I think is going to be the key for a lot of young players. And some players, as you know, fail with that because of a lack of confidence, or they don't quite feel comfortable in a new environment. And the ones that grab the chance and the opportunities, they tend to do really, really well.
And one thing that really surprised me watching at least the first team and then knowing a bit more about the twos going into this preseason and into the season is how hungry they are to play. Ashton Gordon is one that stuck out to me throughout the entire preseason, the way he was able to battle against players in Birmingham Legion and able to really show off. So using that skill and having a player like Ashton Gordon, what can we see from him this season with you guys, and also to just developing a player like that?
Yeah, it's interesting because Ashton's gone in this year and he's away at the moment in Jamaica. He's never really been in with us. He's never been in a game day roster. He's only trained 3 or 4 times. So I don't quite know how Ashton works on a daily basis. I don't quite know how he's going to play week to week to week to week, and so I think it's going to be a chance for me to learn. So I expect him to work hard. I expect him to be himself. I expect him to operate certainly within a team framework, but more importantly, I think bring his unique skill set. He's obviously got a lot of pace. He's got a lot of power. He can score a goal. He's actually a player who can play multiple positions in the front line. I think that's going to be key to any player for a future. I'm excited to watch him. I'm excited to see if we can get him through. He's only 16, so people forget that it's incredibly young, and I think sometimes if we're not careful we can push them that little bit too quickly. So hopefully he can stay grounded and stay focused and know that if he's going to make a real career out of this, he's got another 20 years to go. So, but what you do every day and every week and every month and then every season moving forward, I think is going to be the difference between whether he can come through. And what I've just said is that's Ashton, and it is every single player in the group. Every player in the group needs to get their work done, play to their strengths, be a great teammate, and keep wanting the very, very best for themselves. I don't think any player should be happy playing for the twos all the time. I think every player should say, I want to play for the first team. I don't just want a contract and get paid more money, but I want to play for the first team. I want to be a key member of the first team. I want to be in national teams, and I want to play at the very highest level. And you know, if that means out of this country as well, that's great. We want to help them all. Not only do really well at Atlanta United, but we want to help them with their careers and with their lives, so that they can really be not only good players but great people as well. And I think we're certainly hitting our stride in that department. I think we're going to be quite successful with that.
And Atlanta United, too, has already produced so many great success stories. I want to touch a bit on Jaden Hibbert, who just got called up for the Jamaican national team. How important is it as a player to see, as a coach, to see a player like that step up for their national team?
It's amazing. I mean, look, I never was fortunate enough to play for my national team, and it's every young kid's dream, right, to go play at the very best level. And if you can represent your country, I would imagine, and certainly people that I know will say it's the proudest moments of their lives, and not just for themselves but for their families as well, and their moms and dads and grandparents. It's just a really proud feeling that players get. Obviously with Jaden, it's a camp that he's got invited into. Again, we don't know him very well. He's only really been here a month or so. He's adapting to being a professional. He's adapting to becoming a day-to-day, the kind of grind of professional soccer. You know, you don't have class in the afternoon. You don't have all the distractions of college. This is now not just your career, it's your life. And I think as a young player coming in, especially in that position as goalkeeper, you know, you've got to be on it every single day. And Lewis Sharp, who's the goalkeeper coach with us, is doing an amazing job with John Berner and Jaden Hibbert and all of the young goalkeepers coming through. I think it's an amazing crop of goalkeepers we have in the club, even down to U15. James Donaldson got a really bright future, and John O'Ransham, Nash Scogland, and then obviously Jaden and John Berner. They're the players that have been in with us, and I think it's a really great group. But I don't profess to know too much about the goalkeeping department, other than I would never do it, and I think they're all crazy, and I don't know why they do it. But we're very fortunate in this club with Liam Curran and Lewis Sharp to have a really great crop of young goalkeepers.
And another development story that is now playing with the Twos, Nick Firmino. Nick Firmino was playing with the Twos, developed all there, had a phenomenal season last season, and now is playing for the first team. Talk to me a bit about how important it is for the players on this team now to see a player like Nick Firmino step up in a huge way for the first team.
Yeah, Nick's it's probably up there with all the great stories I've ever been involved in, you know, because this is a young man who was in another MLS club in New England Revolution. They decide, for whatever reason, to let him go. They probably don't see what they want to see, and they might think he's not good enough at that moment. I think he went to Union Omaha, and he had mixed fortunes there in USL League One. Came with us. I don't think anybody really quite knew how to play him on the field. What position is he? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? Is he a box-to-box midfield player? And we, after a few weeks of working, we knew we needed that quality on the field every game. We figured that he might have a chance at scoring some goals as a number 10. Nobody a year ago in the whole club predicted what Nick would do in the season, whether he would score goals or whether he would play as well as he did. And so all the credit goes to Nick Firmino, because he is a joyful, happy person who comes to work every day, gives his best. His performances last year were not only outstanding, but he led the group in many different ways. And obviously he got the goals which catch the headlines, but his overall performances were excellent. And I think a player like that is a great story, because in spite of his past and in spite of where the season begins for that player, they force people to take notice. They make certain that people, coaches, scouts, administrators, executives, people with the checkbook in their hands, take notice and say, you better give me a contract or I'm going to go somewhere else and play against you. And I think for Nick Firmino, and credit to everybody for recognising his skill set, I couldn't be happier for him. I hope he scores loads of goals for the first team and they win every game. And I'm just really proud to know him. You know, he's a really good human being, and I think our task is to not just let Nick Firmino be the story, but we've got some other players in this team this year that we need them to not only look at Nick Firmino as being a good example, but see the vision and say, well, if he can do it, so can I. And hopefully that's the kind of environment and culture that we can set for the group.
You've talked a lot about the developing of players. How do you go about, as a coach, developing them as players but also as people?
Oh, that's the big one. I think obviously when everyone talks about player development, we can all understand the tactics and techniques and the physical aspect and the psychological aspect, and all those things are really, really critical. But ultimately, whether they leave us at 38 years old or they leave us at 18 years old, they've got a long life ahead of them. And I think being, on time and doing your best, being a great teammate, and adapting to not only our values, but values that would exist in any workplace, values that will exist in their family lives, values that, if they're eating a meal in a restaurant, being kind to people, been grateful, having an outlook on life that's positive. I think these are the kinds of things that everyone needs to know about and needs to develop. And I think as a young person, maybe you don't always see the end of your career. You think you're going to play forever, but ultimately it is about their ability, it is about their qualities on the field, it is about are they improving, it is about their performances, but as importantly it is about their character and their personality and the way they are as human beings. And I'm glad you asked that, because this group, I don't have to work too hard on it, because, and none of us do in our staff, because these people this year are bringing us to a better level. They're teaching us, they're helping us be better for them, they're helping us work hard for them. And so I think that the group comes together, this group of individuals, hopefully can make it into a cohesive unit, which is happening slowly as we go. We're going to have our ups and downs, but this group of players are also a great group of people, and I think because of that we can be successful with them.
And one of my things, especially getting into the first home game of the season coming up March 16th, getting back to the Proving Ground at Fifth Third Stadium, what is the energy leading up to the start of this season and just getting ready to be in front of all those fans and getting to show what Atlanta United 2 can do?
Yeah, it's amazing, and look, the fans for us have been exceptional through the years. One of the goals this year is to reward the fans, and certainly those diehards that are there every single day of the year, and they come and support us away from home as well, is to reward them with a playoff run as well. We don't just want to be that team that develops a couple of players and has a nice time, and we want to be a team as well that can win games and win championships. And I think that helps not only showcase our club, but it also helps showcase each individual player. So we want to reward them with that. But at the end of pre-season, and we're getting towards the end of it now, I think we have 2 weeks to go. There is always that nervous energy of, did we do enough work? Did we do too much work? Did we do the right things? How is it coming together? I wonder how Orlando are going to be on the first game of the year. What do we know? We're not a lot right now. So there is always that. In spite of how well we think we're doing, and in spite of the quality that we have and the character that we have in the team, are we in the right place for not only the first game of the season but for the long term? And it's the best time of year because nobody's won or lost a game yet. Everyone's even, and everybody thinks they're going to win the championship, and nobody sees any bad days coming. So it's a great positive time of year, and I hope that we can keep that spirit going. In spite of what comes to us, I hope we can keep that spirit going, and I'm really looking forward to finding out myself how we do. So so far we've done some great work. The coaching staff, Jose Silva, Ricky Davey, Lewis Sharp, and all of the support staff have been exceptional. It's one of the most fun pre-seasons I've had, and it's not my first one. I've had a couple, and I just think that we're heading in a really solid direction, and hopefully that means on game one we can start the journey with a win.